Alright, so today we talk all about good girl programming, people pleasing, and how you can let go of that so that you can live your most abundant, magical dream life. Because I know especially the majority of my audience is female, and this is a common pattern that I see especially with women. And now, so what will we be talking about in this live? There will be mainly 3 points that I will be covering. First one, what is people pleasing and good girl programming anyways, and also where does it come from? Then how does it influence your nervous system, and why good girl programming and people pleasing might be the cause of you feeling burned out and depressed. Which is something not many people know about. And then the third part is, alright, we know we have a problem, but how do we let go of it and break free from people pleasing and good girl programming? Now, first, let's start with the basics. What is good girl programming and people pleasing anyways? So good girl programming is, for example, statements or beliefs that you picked up during childhood. As with most things that we encounter later in life, it all starts with childhood or also with generational trauma. And these can be statements such as, be a good girl, don't be too loud, be nice to everybody, don't be angry. This is a big one that we will touch on today. Don't show anger. Women are not angry, women have to be like nice and behaved, and these kind of programmings cut us then off from experiencing very natural human emotions. Because we are told, oh no, it's not okay to be angry. It's not okay to say if you don't like something, because people might think that you're a mad woman or something. And these are all things that can come from childhood. Now, how do they develop? It can be different things. So, for example, it can be that in childhood you had a parent who was very loud, let's say, and maybe the parent didn't know how to handle his or her emotions. And so as a child you picked up, thank you for the hearts, you picked up the trauma response of fawn. And fawn is a trauma response which is people-pleasing. And you might have picked this trauma response because you wanted to please your parent so they are nice to you. Because mom and dad being nice to you and liking you as a little child is essential for your survival. Even if your perceived reality might not be the reality that your parents might perceive. Yet perceived reality is reality. So maybe you thought, oh, if I'm not nice to mom and dad, they don't change my diapers or they don't give me food. Even though, yes, they would have done all of these things. Yet as a child, you might not be aware of that. And this is how we can see how as a child, you might pick up people-pleasing behaviors just to get your essential needs met. So now we know, okay, where does it stem from? Mostly childhood, but it can also be from past relationships or also generational trauma. Maybe your mom was also a people pleaser, and this is how you learn to people please. This is how you learn to maybe shut your mouth and not be vocal about things that annoy you. Maybe your mom told you, oh no, be a good girl, be silent. Oh, and if maybe your dad is loud, psh, let's be silent. Let's please him, let's be quiet. So this can also be how you learn that this is the acceptable behavior for you as a woman. But today we talk about why this might be very limiting for you later in life. Now, why else do we engage in people-pleasing and good girl behavior? As I said earlier, it can also be then a fear of abandonment. So thinking, yes, if I'm expressing my full authentic self, if I am angry or if I voice when I don't like something, I might be abandoned and people may not choose me. When we are now looking also at romantic relationships, which is something I also like to talk about here, is, for example, hey, if I tell this person that I don't like something, then I'm afraid of them not liking me anymore and therefore them leaving me. So this fear of abandonment also plays an essential role, because as human beings, we have an innate desire to be connected to other human beings. And us voicing that we don't like something can cause conflict, and therefore you might subconsciously think, oh, if I'm causing conflict, this conflict can lead to them not choosing me anymore. Which, yes, in reality, that might be very well the case. Alright, so how else do we see this behavior played out in your everyday life? One of the things can be, for example, when you are working in a job and you have very difficult time to say no to responsibilities that are actually not your responsibilities. So you're taking on project and project and project and project, and you're already so full with projects, yet because you have a very difficult time saying no and setting boundaries, you might even not realize that, hey, I'm already so packed with my to-do list that I cannot take on another project. And this is also where the people-pleasing can come in. Because you might not want to say no to your boss. Yeah, I don't have the capacity to do that. Or also when people invite you to join social events. Maybe you are super tired from your week, or you rather want to stay home because you are on your period or you're shortly before your period and your energy level is very low. Yet due to your people-pleasing behavior and good girl programming, you might not want to disappoint people. So these are all the things how we can see how good girl programming and people-pleasing can influence our everyday life. Now, how can they also influence you when building up a business? Which is something I also love to cover here. Let's say, for example, you are thinking about, oh, I want to build my business. Maybe you also want to be a healer, coach, or have some business in the spiritual space. Then you might think, oh, if I now start posting about the things that I'm really interested in or how I can help people, what if someone who went with me to high school sees that and now thinks I'm a super weird person? Maybe they even send me a message telling me, oh, you're so weird, what the fuck you're talking about? And because you are so used to people pleasing and you don't want to face any conflict, this might be holding you back, even though this person doesn't matter at all. Because what matters then, for example, if you want to build up a business, is the people that you can help with your medicine. Because these are the people that you should think about when you're considering, do I want to build a business or not? Not people who might judge you. Because people talk anyways. There will always be people who don't like what you're doing. But if you allow that to hold you back from living your life's purpose, then, let me put on the coach hat for a second, then you also hold what you have, the gifts that you're holding within you, back from people who you can serve, which is very egoistical from you. So, I want you to break free from people-pleasing, good girl programming and live your fullest, richest life and be an authentic expression of who you are. Now, what else do I want to cover? What is also very essential is if we're looking at identity, because this people-pleasing and good girl programming can be very much part of your current identity. And identity, if you know about mindset work, is a very essential part of your brain. Because we, as a human, need to know who we are. This is essential. So we need to know, okay, am I someone, for example, am I an athlete? Am I a business owner? Am I a mom? Am I a dad? Am I a daughter? Am I a wife? Whatever identity you're holding. And one part of that identity can also be, am I a people pleaser? Am I a good girl? Am I someone who never causes any trouble for anyone? And if this is part of your current identity, then one of the things that we ought to do in order to break free of people-pleasing and good girl programming is this identity has to die. This identity cannot come with you to the next level. Because on your next level, where you are your truest, authentic expression, there's no room for you always trying to please everyone. Because if you're just trying to please everyone, and if you're trying to not polarize, then you're also not reaching the people who really need your support. And this is why a shift on an identity level, or first also realizing if this is currently part of your identity, is really essential. Now, what else do we have here? Alright, so the very important part here is also how does good girl programming and people pleasing play a role with your nervous system, and why can this programming lead to you feeling stuck, burned out, drained, without energy? Now, when we look at your nervous system, there's part of your nervous system that is responsible for also giving you energy. This is also the energy, for example, that can lead to you being in a fight modus or in a flight state. And if you are not allowing yourself to be angry, for example, you are cutting yourself off from that mobilizing energy. And this is especially when you want to go after your dream life, something that can ruin your dreams. Because yes, when you are going after your dream life and, for example, want to build up a business here on social media as well, then you need this mobilizing energy. You need your creativity. And if you are not allowing yourself to be also in anger energy, then you're cutting yourself off from that source of energy. And then your body is holding that in. And that can then lead to you being in a freeze state, where yes, you have so much energy, yet because you are not allowing the energy to move through you, you're feeling very paralyzed, overwhelmed, but at the same time that there are so many processes going on, all at the same time. And this is a very uncomfortable state. And with neurological fitness, we call this state overwhelm. And if you have seen how the NeuroFit ring that I posted, the overwhelmed state is the state at the very bottom. So it's a mix between the sympathetic state of having a lot of anger and anxiousness energy, yet also feeling shut down, drained, and hopeless. And this is not what we want for you. And also, if we look at the scale of consciousness, the reason why, if let's say you're shutting yourself off from expressing anger, then you might also in turn go to the frequency of, for example, shame or guilt. Let's say, for example, you are at work. You're working a 9-to-5 job, or you have a boss, and then you're not allowing yourself to say, no, this is not my responsibility. Maybe you're also angry about something, yet you're not allowing yourself to express that anger, and maybe you even feel guilty for not fulfilling all of the requests that are made to you. And this guilt, if we look at the scale of consciousness, guilt is below anger. So you're going down the scale of consciousness because you're not allowing yourself to express anger, and that way you can get stuck in the frequency of shame and guilt. And this is, if we're looking at the scale of consciousness, some of the lowest frequencies that you can be in. And this is why you might feel paralyzed, low energy, and like you cannot even move, because your body is in these low frequencies that don't allow for movement. And this is what we want to break free from, so you can live your best life. Now, the thing also is, if you are cutting yourself off from anger, you're also cutting yourself off from creativity. Because the sympathetic energy is what we need to tap into our creative gifts. And if you're not allowing yourself to express anger in a healthy way, then you might also not have access to your creativity. Let's say, for example, you used to, maybe you're a writer, and now you have like a creative block. And this creative block might stem from you being really angry at someone and not expressing that anger, and now you feel like you cannot write anything anymore. And I will give an example that might also speak to many women here again, because I was hosting the 5-day challenge here all about love, and one of the things that can happen, for example, let's say you were in a relationship or situationship with someone who was a love bomber. And if this person now love bombed you, and then after a couple of months you broke free from that love bombing, or maybe you cut yourself off from that person, and then maybe because you're such an empathetic, high sensitive women, you might say, oh, but they all have their issues, they have their trauma, this is why they were trying to fill a void with me, this is why they were not able to give me what I needed. I should not be angry about them using me. So yes, while you can see all of the things that might have influenced this person to make certain choices or why they were love bombing you, at the same time you can also allow yourself to be fucking angry about it. Because yes, you might have really liked this person, and you might have thought they were serious with you, and yes, you might have been at a state where you really wanted to have a serious relationship, yet them, they were just trying to fill a void, and this can make you really angry. Yet if you're not allowing yourself to express that anger in a healthy way, it does not even have to be you communicating with that person who was love bombing you. It can also be, as I for example do with my clients in session during neurological fitness exercises, to channel that anger energy so you can let go of that and you're not holding that in anymore. So one of the things that I love to do with clients is also, I have a pillow here to just showcase it. So you can take a pillow and just slam it on the ground. So this is one of the things that I also love to do in session, because it releases all the anger energy. And there are also so many wonderful ways to express anger in a healthy way. So for example, boxing, one of my favorite things to really get angry and release that from my body, because I don't need that. Or also running, going to the gym, or what else can we do? Or doing this tree shaking exercise is also amazing for releasing anger. So they're very healthy ways to channel the anger so you're not holding it inside of you anymore. Alright, so this is what I wanted to touch. So this is already the second step of how to let go of that. So we started with step 2, but first step is awareness. So now if what I said, you were already seeing, yes, guilty as charged, I'm a people pleaser, I have this good girl programming and I want to let go of that. Amazing first step. Always awareness, awareness, awareness. I cannot stress that enough. You already having awareness around that already leads to a shift in the paradigm, because now you have awareness of that. And if you are setting the intention of, yes, I want to let go of that good girl people pleasing programming, then you can make progress of truly letting it go and taking aligned action to move